The New Testament church was far from perfect. The idyllic pictures of the church found in small sections of the book of Acts might lead one to believe that all churches of the first century were permeated by purity and holiness. The church in Corinth dispels that faulty belief due to its gross immorality and wickedness. In Acts 18, 1-11, Luke records the founding of the church in Corinth. Paul was well acquainted with this church, having visited it on his second mission journey. Paul served the church for a year and a half, seeking to establish the predominantly Gentile believers in the ways of the Lord. This work was vital since Corinth was an important cosmopolitan city in ancient Greece. Believers in that region were faced with a constant temptation to succumb to the idolatry of the pagans living throughout the region. The Corinthian letters differed in style from Paul's other writings. Rather than a typical pattern of first describing the good news of Jesus, followed by a summary of the ethical implications of this message, Paul uses the Corinthian letters to respond to particular issues facing the young church after his departure. Paul received troubling reports about the church and their ongoing proclivity toward waywardness, and he wrote to address the issues that continued to plague the church, such as divisions, abuse of liberty, sexual immorality, drunkenness, and the influence of false teaching. As he wrote, Paul demonstrated the holistic and communal effects of the gospel. Every facet of life is shaped by Jesus' work, and all decisions can and should be informed by what was accomplished in his death and resurrection. Also, the gospel is pervasive among the people of God as the church gathers in worship and scatters in mission. The hope of the gospel is not merely a means of personal salvation, but it transforms the corporate life of God's people. While the overall tone of this book is forceful and passionate, Paul ends with a reminder of the great hope that the gospel brings. Satan, sin, and death are defeated, and as a result, God's people can experience victory over Satan, sin, and death. At the appointed time, God will vindicate himself before the watching world and prove once and for all that he has accomplished his plan of redeeming the world. Yet for us there is one God, the Father, from whom are all things, and for whom we exist, and one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom are all things, and through whom we exist. 1 Corinthians 8:6.